In episode 37, I talk with Ghost Peppers center fielder Dalton Guthrie. Taking after his father's footsteps in MLB, learn about Guthrie's big league bloodline. Our guest today is from Sarasota, Florida, attended the University of Florida, drafted by the Philadelphia Phillies in 2017, played in the big leagues in 22 and 23, currently the center fielder for the Gastonia Ghost Peppers. I know a guy, and his name is Dalton Guthrie. Dalton, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So, Dalton, in high school, you were a two-time All-State selection at shortstop, obviously now a center fielder. Did you envision yourself being a shortstop for a while?
Yeah, I guess everyone really thinks they're a shortstop until you're not, right? But I liked playing shortstop, and I grew up playing shortstop like a lot of kids do. But it turns into whatever gets you in the lineup. So I've kind of learned to play wherever I'm told to play and try to be good at it. I'm just really happy anywhere I can play, and again, that lineup is okay with me.
Now, your defense at shortstop in high school is phenomenal. You were one of 9 players in the country to be named to the 2014 Rawlings High School Gold Glove team. How was that experience being named to that team?
Yeah, I guess that's good. I was fortunate to have some pitchers that got some weak contact, so I didn't. It wasn't too crazy the plays I had to make, I guess. But that was a cool thing, and I didn't even know it was a thing until I got it. But yeah, it was some good times in high school.
How was the eventual transition to playing the outfields?
Yeah, it takes a little bit. I think I probably started doing it for real in AA when I started playing center field. But it was a little learning curve at first, but it became fun. The more I got comfortable and realized, you're just running stuff down like a dog chasing a frisbee, right? So it's I learned to like it, and now I've gotten a lot more comfortable to the point where I don't have the jitters I used to have.
We had Cole Roeder on the podcast. He was talking about how playing center field is. He was explaining it in depth to those who may not know a lot about the position. What's knowledge that you have for the casual fan out there who might not know everything that goes into playing center fields?
Yeah, it's the one thing that was interesting for me is that it's kind of actually harder to play the corners for a lot of guys just because the spin of the ball's more of a factor there. But in center field, it's the thing that helped me as a guy that was transitioning was just to be athletic and just try to make plays. When you start trying to decide too much and try to make sure that you're getting the right reads, it's you kind of lose your athleticism, you lose your aggressiveness, and just being an athlete and just trusting yourself, takes care of a lot of stuff out there.
Now, you went to the University of Florida, very prestigious program. Is that a big reason why you went, other than being from the state of Florida?
Yeah, it just, my mom was from Florida. I was actually an LSU fan growing up, which I learned not to be an LSU fan later on. But
another good baseball program.
Yes. But, through the rivalries, I learned not to like them. But, they were always great. But, I being 2 hours away from Gainesville, and they were obviously a very good program at the time. I just when they offered me, it was kind of a no doubter for me, but had some good times, and now I get to play with a bunch of my teammates from Florida here, so it's been fun.
I was going to say Nick Horvath, obviously Richie Martin just picked up by the Rangers a couple weeks ago, so it's been cool to reconnect with ex-Gators.
Yeah, for sure. And I heard JJ was here last year, and Buddy Reed, so it's there's been a lot through the Ghost Peppers.
How was the experience winning the national championship 2017?
Yeah, no, that's one of the coolest things I've done in baseball, and I'll never forget those games. And it's kind of cool going back and watching those games every once in a while. I would sit here and talk to Horvath about certain plays. He made a big play to almost probably win us one of the games in the championship, and it's fun to kind of relive that stuff and see some guys that I haven't seen in a while in pro ball, and now I finally get to see them and kind of relive that. It's kind of cool.
And he was a center fielder. He came on the podcast last year and talked about he was in center field for that championship Florida team.
Yeah, I tell the pitchers that because they've never really seen him play outfield. I was like, listen, I promise you Horvath's a better center fielder than I am. He was unbelievable. And he did play in the minors for a little bit. He was an awesome center fielder, but he fields his position pretty good as a pitcher too. So he's still got it in him.
That's why it's perfect. Extra innings. You want Horvath on the mound.
You want him fielding that bunt for sure. Yeah, him and CT are I trust them fielding that bunt.
Dalton, you were with the Phillies in the big leagues. Your first MLB home run, do you remember who you hit it off of?
Yes, Ross Stripling. Yes.
Do you remember the pitch?
High fastball. I knew I was getting one. I was the rookie, and I knew he liked that high fastball, so I cheated to it, and I got it.
91-mile-an-hour fastball upstairs, and you crush it to left field.
Yes.
Philly fans are known as, chaotic, similar to New York fans, Boston fans. Philly fans maybe up a notch, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have you had any wild encounters with Philadelphia sports fans?
Yeah, I will say this, in the playoffs in 22, and it was one of the coolest experiences. I compare it to like a college football game at Florida. Like those fans, they come out and it's like that's like one of the coolest environments I've ever played in, even more so than Omaha. And I'd say so. But it's they're so passionate, and I remember like winning the series against the Padres and the Braves, and we all went as a team to this kind of nightclub. I don't know if it's a nightclub or like a bar kind of thing. And, guys just like partying with fans and just kind of intermingling with fans, which you don't see it for professional athletes as much. And it was just a really cool experience, like just people that are just happy to win. And it was some fun times. But, they're definitely the most – we use the word passion, the most passionate fans I've ever seen.
Now, you have a long baseball background. We talked about this on the preseason podcast episode, Dalton, but your father, Mark, was a lefty pitcher in the big leagues for 15 seasons. And you said on that podcast episode, you kind of get a side of baseball that not everyone gets to experience, and you called yourself spoiled because of that experience. You want to go more in depth?
Yeah. It's funny because we'll all talk about, we joke about, our dads always saying like, you should have done this at the plate. You should, and a lot of guys are like, my dad's never even played, and he's telling me to do this. And I go, well, that's the tough thing for me is like if my dad does say something, like he might be right. He's probably right because he's done it for a while. But he doesn't really do it much, but he's always there to support me. He probably cares more about how I do than I do myself. He's definitely my biggest supporter, but he's went through it all, especially in this game, and so if there's anything I go through and I need help, he's an easy guy to rely on. So for that matter, I'm extremely spoiled because a lot of kids don't have that. But yeah, he's been extremely helpful for me throughout my career.
Now, in a preseason questionnaire that all the players got, you put him down as your favorite player growing up. Not everyone's dad who played in the big leagues is also their favorite player. What about him was so special that you also rooted for him so extra hard?
Yeah, no, I just, I loved baseball as a kid, and as a reliever, you never know when he's going to go in, so you're just sitting there waiting. So I'm watching every single game, just kind of trying to figure out situations as a 6-7-year-old, trying to figure out when my dad's going to come in and pitch. And I just learned a lot about the game. But like him, and obviously he's my favorite player. But the guys he played with, like Ray Ordonez, that guys don't really talk about, like the old shortstop. Loved watching him. A lot of the guys he played with that kind of like no one else talks about now. I brought up Tony Batista to Brian O'Grady the other day. Like guys like that, like that's who I grew up watching. And obviously it's easy to like guys like Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa, but those are the guys I was cheering for that were on my dad's team that I grew to love.
Now, of course, you had many experiences with your dad's teammates, players your dad played up against. I'm sure you made a lot of cool connections along the way back then, also some cool connections while playing in the big leagues with the Phillies. We have a segment on this podcast called Cool Connections, whether it's a household name, whether it's just someone who's helped you in your journey, who is a player of that stature for you.
Yeah, there's been a good amount. He's fairly connected. One of the cool things, actually, one day I was just hitting in the cage, and for some reason, I guess my dad was wanting to work with his name is Brandon Bonilla, Bobby Bonilla's kid, and so Bobby Bonilla just showed up while I was hitting BP in my backyard, and it was just very surreal to have Bobby Bonilla just sitting there being like, just crush the ball. And I was like, I don't know if we're the same hitter. I'm 150 pounds at the time, and he's just an absolute monster and he's going, just swing as hard as you can every time. And but it's just like little interactions like that not everyone gets to have. And I'm spoiled to have, just Bobby Bonilla pop up in my yard and start giving me hitting lessons. But a lot of cool things like that it's nice to have my dad who's got those hookups, I guess.
3 weeks away from Bonilla Day. 3 weeks away.
It's a big day. That's a
July
big day.
1st.
Oh yeah. I don't know how long that goes for, but that's a great day over there.
Any cool connections while with the Phillies? I'm sure there are plenty.
Yeah, I don't keep in touch with them as well as I should, but whenever I see them, and the Southern Maryland coach was the assistant hitting coach while I was there. It was cool to see him last series, but a lot of good guys in that locker room that I need to do better to keep in touch with. But I have nothing bad to say about those guys. They were great to me as a rookie.
Now, Dalton, you were a Jewish ball player. You're one of 190 Jewish MLB players ever in Major League Baseball history out of roughly 21,000 players all time. That's just 0.9%. What does that stat mean to you?
Yeah, that's really cool. Honestly, more so for my grandparents who that's very important too. And I almost had the chance to play for Team Israel, and I kind of was fighting for a spot. But if it came around again, it would be super cool for my grandparents to do that. And I know they're extremely proud of that. So, hopefully that happens one day. But it is a cool thing that there's not that many of them in Major League Baseball.
I know there's not that many. Any Jewish role models growing up besides the Sandy Koufaxs, the Hank Greenbergs of the world?
I'm trying. Well, there's not many, so I can't. Not that I can think of at the top of my head, but yeah, when there's such a select group of them, I can't think of any. But
it would be Bregman if he didn't go to LSU.
Bregman, yeah.
Maybe if you were a kid.
I'm trying to think of I know I played with Stubbs, but he's. I'm trying to think of back at that time who the guys were, but there's some good baseball players for that Israel team if they all kind of played in the tournament. But
good manager too.
Yeah. It was kind of cool getting a text from Ian Kinsler, so that was he's a good one.
We have a Pep Talk segment on this podcast. What is the best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Oof. Oh, okay. Best piece of advice. Honestly, it might have been from a book I read about hitting. There's this book called Mental Keys of Hitting, I believe it's called, by Harvey Dorfman. And the whole premise of the book is see the ball, whack it, basically. And it's kind of a mantra you keep saying in your head to kind of simplify things and get your perspective on the ball instead of all the, as baseball players, you work on 7 different things every day you show up to the field. And that was probably the one of the more important things I learned in hitting was kind of dumbing it down. And that mantra, see the ball, whack it, see the ball, whack it, and saying it over and over was probably one of the more beneficial things in my baseball career. I always say, like, if you've never read that book as a baseball player, you're doing a disservice. Like, that should be a must-read, great book. But, yeah, I'd say that, honestly. I'm sure I've got some better ones. I'm sure my dad's helped. But that is a great book that I probably should reread, honestly.
What was your biggest takeaway from See the Ball, Whack It that, again, whether it's the casual fan or someone out there could learn hitting lessons from that? What is your main takeaway? Yeah,
well, I think obviously there's physical stuff in baseball that you can clean up, but also like mentality stuff like that can clear up physical stuff. As we talk about, mental sometimes takes care of your physical. So the see the ball, whack it, what it does is it slowly, it might start making you calm down your movements, and it might make you keep your head calmer because you're trying to see the ball as well as you can. And then it slowly takes care of physical mistakes for me. I'm sure it does a lot of guys too, but some guys have trouble, staying back. And if you just think, I'm going to just keep my weight back there on my backside, it doesn't always work as easily as you want it to. But sometimes it's a mental cue that works, and for me, that's helped a lot in my baseball career.
Dalton, why do you choose Gastonia?
I believe actually my dad played with Goose. I think with the Twins for a little bit. And I played with Goose's kid. So I had a connection there. And obviously Horvath played here last year and Richie played here. So I knew some people. And, it seemed like the best fit. And, I mean, it's not a bad area at all in North Carolina. So there's a lot worse places you can be. And, so far it's been great. I love the team, and everything around the stadium is awesome. So no complaints at all.
Now, you have 26 RBIs in your first 27 games. Good numbers overall, but the number that stands out is those 26 RBIs. What has gone well in the category of knocking in runs? Why have you been so successful in doing so far in 2025?
Yeah, I think this is the most I've ever come up with guys in scoring position and stuff. And, I credit that to we got good hitters all throughout the lineup that are getting on base. And I just think I'm getting a lot more chances because of that. And, I try not to change anything, but when you have guys that are constantly on base, you're bound to drive some in. So I would say really that's got to be the biggest difference is there's just guys in front of me that are constantly on base.
Dalton, I know you're a huge Will Ferrell fan. You told me on the preseason podcast episode, Anchorman is your favorite movie of all time. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you wanted us to use Stay Spicy Gastonia as a hashtag.
Right.
I remember that. I want you to rank these 4 Will Ferrell movies.
Perfect.
Elf, Blades of Glory, Step Brothers, and Semi-Pro.
Oof. Okay. I think Semi-Pro is number 1, honestly. I
Really?
know everyone loves Step Brothers, but there's some really good lines in Semi-Pro that I love.
The alley-oop scene is so well done. It's so great.
when he starts trying to get them to not score enough for the corn dogs, that's great. I'd go Step Brothers 2. Step Brothers is solid. 3, I'd go Elf. Blaze of Glory is probably my least favorite of them. It's still good, but I'm a big Semi-Pro fan. There's a lot of good lines that get repeated in that clubhouse from Semi-Pro, but he makes a lot of good ones though. So,
do you also get giddy anytime he comes up as like a cameo appearance in a show or in
he
a
never
movie?
breaks character or anything. He's hilarious.
He's come on to Sports Center as Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
To talk to Peyton Manning or whatever it may be.
You did the spring training thing where he's playing all the positions. He's a funny dude.
That he is. Dalton, what is the goal for you this 2025 season with the Ghost Peppers?
Yeah, I think honestly, I just wanted to play a lot. You don't always get a chance to play a bunch wherever you go, and I was just hoping to get a lot of at bats. And I just like playing baseball. And when you when you go in situations where you're not playing as much as you want, all you want to do is play baseball. You don't care about anything else. But it's just fun playing baseball, and I want to play as many games as I can. And this is a good place to do it. So I. We're a good team. We're gonna, I would assume, show that pretty soon. But I just want to play, I guess.
You've played a lot of games so far, 27 games. In those 27, you've driven in 26 runs. Best of luck the rest of the season, Dalton.
Perfect.
And thanks so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me.